The other day I told an Armenian fairy tale that involved secretly breastfeeding from a giant and lots of body chopping up and getting put together, and it reminded me there's a Palestinian story with those same elements, and it's even darker and wackier, so I'm telling you that today. It's called Clever Hassan. A king dies, and so his son takes his mother and says, let's go travel the world together. They come to a crossroads, and there's this old man who says, hey, go down the road of safety, the road of regret, or the road of no return. And Hassan's like, we're going down the road of no return. He's like, don't do that. And he's like, nah, I'm gonna. He and his mom come across this giant who says, clever Hassan, you've trespassed. So Hassan and the giant get in a fight, and Hassan cuts off the giant's legs. The giant says, ouch, no one's ever defeated me before, so here are the keys to my palace. And so he takes the keys and he and his mom go move into the palace, leaving him there bleeding. Well, as he and his mom live in this castle, he goes out to hunt every day, and the mom eventually feels bad for the giant and starts going to him and healing his legs until somehow they grow back and he's fine again. They secretly fall in love, begin a sexual affair, and she gives birth to the giant's children, but they somehow hide them from Hassan. Then the mom's talking to the giant, and she's like, man, if Hassan finds out that I've banged you and had your kids, he's gonna cut my head off. So the giant's like, well, there's this pomegranate orchard that anyone who goes in there dies, so let's send him to get some pomegranates. So the mom puts turmeric on her face to make herself look yellow and sick, and she's like, I need pomegranates before I die. And he's like, I'll go get them for you. He gets to the pomegranate orchard, and there's this sheikh sitting outside, and the sheikh is like, okay, you will die if you go in there, unless you go in, get the pomegranates, and come out without looking left or right. So clever Hassan does that, making sure to get some extra pomegranates to give the sheikh who helped him, and then he goes home with the pomegranates, and his mom and the giant are like, oh, he didn't die. So then they decide to send him to a melon patch that no one has come out alive from. And same thing happens. He meets a sheikh who tells him, don't look left or right, just get the watermelons and get out, and he does, and he comes home successful. So the giant's like, okay, the last resort I know is to send him for the water of life. No one's come back with the water of life. And so this time his mom doesn't do the turmeric thing. She says she needs the water of life because she burned her finger and she needs it to heal her finger. Now this water of life is apparently in the land of a ghoul. And so Hassan knows what to do. He packs a lot of like cologne and soap and stuff with him. And when he gets there and meets the ghoul, he like basically gives him spa treatment. He trimmed the ghoul's eyebrows, his mustache, his hair, washed him with scented soap, splashed him with cologne, and gave him fresh clothes to wear. And the ghoul was like, all right, I'm gonna help you out now. Thank you. Here's how you get the water of life. You go to where my sister lives, who's also a ghoul. She will be grinding sugar with her chest out, and you need to go up and secretly suckle from her breast, and then she won't be able to hurt you. So he does that. He secretly goes and suckles from her, and when she sees him, she's like, oh, now you've drunk my milk. You're dearer to me than my own children. But my children, 11 ghouls, are gonna come home and smell you and want to eat you. So she does a magic trick common in Middle Eastern folklore where she blows on him and turns him into a needle and sticks him in her dress when her kids come home. But the kids all smell human and they're like, where's the human? She's like, I will get him out if you promise not to hurt him. And they're like, okay. So then she brings Hassan back and she's like, go take this guy to the water of life. And they're like, okay, so they do. On his way back, the daughter of a different king spies him from the balcony and invites him in. It's funny, he doesn't want to stop. And she's like, Allah gives my father the power to cut off people's heads. I'll have him cut off your head if you don't come in and talk to me. And he's like, okay, so he does. So he comes in and has lunch with her, and she cleverly takes the water of life from him and then replaces it with regular water, which is going to be a good thing later. So then he goes home to his mom, gives her the water. So now the mom talks to the giant. She's like, I just don't know how to kill him. And the giant's like, well, why don't you ask him where his strength lies? And she's like, okay. And she does. And the answer is that it is 7 hairs on his head. So the mom says, hey, let me come pick the lice out of your hair. And while she does, she pulls the 7 hairs out and he becomes so weak he can barely lift anything. Now, if this strikes you as very Samson and Delilah from the Bible, it's because this is actually all over Middle Eastern folklore. The idea that a man's strength is tied to his hair and that a woman sneakily robs him of his strength by pulling his hair out or cutting it. So once Hassan is basically paralyzed, the mom says, all right, giant, come out and cut off his head and chop up his body. So they chop off his head, gouge out his eyes, cut his body into 4 pieces, put it in a box, and throw it into the sea. Now, it washes up on a different shore, and the fishermen who find it think this will be a great present for the princess. I'm assuming that the box is really pretty, and they don't open it and see what's inside, and they mean the box, but like, it doesn't say that, so they could have just thought she would want chopped up body parts. They give it to her, and as soon as she opens it up, she knows what happened, and so she uses that water of life that she stole from Clever Hassan, because maybe she's really the clever one, and she sprinkles it on him and puts him all back together again and brings him back to life. So then Hassan goes back to get his revenge, and it is bloody. First, he cut the giant's throat over his mother's knee, then slaughtered all of the children and tore them to pieces in front of her, and then said, as for you, I'm not only going to kill you, I'm going gonna tear you to shreds. And then he does. He like rips her into a million pieces. Then he demolishes the whole palace, steals all the treasure, and has it sent to the princess. Then the princess's dad says, hey, you want to get married? And she's like, yes. Clever Hassan disguises himself in a tattered sackcloth, rips open a sheep's stomach and puts it on his head, and then comes to her and offers his hand, and she says, yes, I want him. And everyone's like, ooh, why do you want this crazy, gross beggar? Because he wants to be in disguise for some reason. And she's like, he's the one I want. And so the king's like, all right, you're gonna go live in isolation in the desert with him. And she's like, cool, fine. But then eventually the father goes to war and Hassan goes to help him in his disguise on a worn out mule. But then apparently we find out he has a magic ring and everyone's like mocking him. But then he uses the magic ring to suddenly be on this amazing horse with this amazing sword, and he kicks everyone's butt and saves the dad. So the dad's like, wait, you're actually the son of a king and the super awesome hero who married my daughter? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, I'm cool with everything now, obviously. They had a giant feast celebrating their wedding again, and they lived happily ever after. For more, check out my book, A Reimagining of the 12 Dancing Princesses, and my podcast, links in the bio.